Okay, so in order to understand why you don't get closure from a narcissistic relationship, it's important to know what actually closure means. Closure is a healthy part of a relationship. You get to say your piece. You both apologize for any unintentional or maybe intentional hurts, but you say goodbye. Like, both parties know where they stand. You kind of communicate to one another and you wish each other well. And this is how closure works between two healthy, reality-based, reasonably sane adults who basically had a good relationship. You had a good time together, but you know, it just didn't work out because you kind of grew apart. Life got in the way. You had different goals, different values, interests. Maybe even as you've grown up, you know, a lack of compatibility, or you just, you know, like you just grew apart. And this is the bad side of a relationship, or this is the kind of the most difficult part of the relationship, is to basically get closure, where two parties understand where they are and why it's happened. But in some relationships, you don't get closure, and we know which relationships they are. Okay, when you have had a relationship with a narcissist or a toxic individual, or somebody who is just, let's say, emotionally immature, someone who wasn't considerate, who wasn't invested in the relationship, or who just wasn't ready for commitment, and ghosting also counts for not getting closure. If this person is reasonably sane and emotionally mature, they would state why they don't want to be in this relationship anymore, and you would have a discussion. But with narcissistic individuals, you don't get that opportunity to discuss or to say how you feel. It's just cut off like that, and you just kind of work it out on your own. And this is what hurts so much, and this is what causes the trauma bond to deepen if you do have a trauma bond with a narcissistic person, which you probably do, because it's just common that you do suffer them. The thing is, you deserve someone who really loves you. You need somebody who would be able to give you the time and the space to be able to explain what has happened, why it's happened. Attempting to obtain closure with an emotionally abusive person is basically a maddening experience. You don't get the answer. You go around in circles, and it's a maddening experience. It's only to serve that person to draw on emotional fuel and leave you so upset and so confused that you just don't even know why. You don't get that closure. The thing is, you will never get closure with this kind of person. Never. They will never explain it because they don't understand on a deeper level. They don't understand why. They don't have awareness into themselves. So they can't give you an answer on why. They don't meet three important pieces of information for receiving a closure. You need a reasonable degree of awareness or a foothold in reality. You need empathy. And being able to give somebody closure means you're able to accept responsibility in this relationship. And when has your narcissistic person ever been able to take responsibility for their behavior, or understand that maybe there is two sides to the coin? This is part of the gaslighting. Don't you remember, this is part of like how they used to rewrite the history and say that it was basically your fault, and they portrayed themselves as the victim. So going round and round in circles trying to get them to understand is not going to happen, because they're just going to blame it onto you. You must realize is that you will never get an apology, or you will never get a real explanation. In order to get closure, you need to have understanding and awareness. You've also got to understand that they're not going to acknowledge what they did to you, because they're not going to admit that they did that, because they were getting their own personal gains and a certain outcome from the way that they had treated you. So therefore, if they're going to admit that they are wrong, which means that it gives you fuel, they're not going to do that, because they're always going to see as they are right and what they have done was the right thing to do. This is ingrained defense mechanisms, okay, that are in place with a narcissistic person. Okay, and they believe in their mind, which, remember, they have a different perspective of seeing things. They have a different perspective of seeing reality. So they're going to believe that they have done nothing wrong. So this is why you are never going to get the validation that you are looking for. They will say that you're the crazy one, that this has been your fault, and they will put the blame onto you, and basically they will be the victim. They may even say things like, why do you question them? How dare you question me? You must be crazy, or someone's brainwashed you, or you're not mentally stable, you're bipolar, can't you see how many good things I have done for you? They will even claim that maybe you have a memory problem. And these are all things, these are all part of the defense mechanism that they have. They're basically putting the blame onto you, okay? Because they don't want to see themselves as the ones that have done anything wrong, and they don't, it's all about hierarchy. So if they put themselves up here and they say that they say that they are the victim and that you're the one that's wrong, it just means that they have a better leg to stand on. And it's all about lies, it's all about manipulation. And again, trying to get closure from a narcissist, that's exactly what this is. And you've got to remember that you're an amazing person, and that all of the things that the narcissist is saying isn't actually your fault. And it's a disordered way of seeing things, because it's easier to blame somebody else, right? It's easier to say that the fault is yours, rather than admitting it, that you have done something wrong. It's harder, because then that means you've got to take responsibility and you've got to correct it. But the narcissist doesn't want to do that, all right? They don't want to, they're not going to work on themselves. They don't have that understanding. They don't have that awareness. So what they're doing is they're continuing the abuse, and they're continuing to trick you. They're continuing to trick others, and they're still continuing to manipulate you. The cost of your relationship was a deep psychological punch to your mind and your soul that has left you with scars. And don't ask yourself to justify anything to the narcissist, and you don't need to correct yourself. You haven't done anything wrong, even though they say that you do. They're trying to get you to admit that the issue with the relationship was you, okay? So that they're the victim and you're the awful person. In fact, what they're doing here is they're trying to protect themselves by belittling you and insulting your intelligence. And what they are doing is they're bending the reality, or bending the truth, so that it kind of serves them as a purpose. But what I want you to really look at here is to really try and understand is, you know the truth. If you look at yourself, if you look inward, you know the truth already. And this is about you taking your power back. You need to love yourself, because that is where you will see the results. This is a journey. This isn't going to be easy. The fact that you know that they are narcissistic or they're emotionally manipulating, that is the closure. The closure is that they are a narcissist. And you know what a narcissist means. It means somebody who has no empathy. They see the world completely differently, and that they have a personality disorder. So that is the closure. They're a narcissist. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video has helped, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.